some tears of love now, like a desert in the rain. When sun of the dead are waking up, yeah. There's nobody like my moon. There's no place like my home since I was born. When I was young, the flavor is so strong. I've missed it so long, yeah.
Morning. Bonjour. Nearly 200,000 people is the estimates. All of these estimates of 40,000 and stuff, these are just doctored numbers. The Lancet did an extensive study a few months ago, and I don't know who made that animation, but it's a great piece of work. Props to them. So, the sun's shining on us, but we can never not be considerate of what else is going on around the world, and what is being sanctioned by these parasites that occupy positions of power. Anyway, we have been downed. We're still live on X. We see this. I shall attempt to restart. So, what do we think the what do we think the hold on. That was a bit of a novelty, wasn't it? That was a fun way to start the 20. What are we on the 21st show? What do we think? Was it the? Was it playing the territory? I don't think so, because that would come later. That would come as a copyright strike later. Hold on a minute. What a way to start the day. Well, at least we're back, right? I can only presume. Hold on a wee second. Okay. Who have we got here? Back on YouTube, your policy. Well, I quite like the fact that we've suddenly got a flurry of activity across the platforms. It's a belter, isn't it? That is the Blaze territory. I think it's an Algerian production produced by Iconoclast. I saw it a few years ago and it just popped into my head this morning when I was walking over, and I was like, I'm going to play that. When I looked at it now, it's got like it's got 128 million views. But then there's a lot of people in the world and a lot of people haven't seen it, so we can't assume just because something's got millions of views that everyone's seen it. And anyway, sometimes something's got millions of views because it deserves to have millions of views. Why have I not got millions of views? Right, let's just get this here. Right, basically that policy violation, I'm almost certain that's nothing to do with that music video. So I think we know what the policy violation's on account of. It's on account of telling the fucking truth. All right. Something that's definitely to do with the Gaza thing. Okay. policy violation is a good name for a band. I like what's happening on the background here. Liked by Van. Leo cares rims dogs. And then he fucking shags them as well. He rims them and shags them and drinks their cum every morning for breakfast, in my opinion. And probably worse. Right, who have we got here? We're going to need a bigger boat, like, you know. There's a lot of cats here, but I like that. It's reassuring. The regulars are in attendance, and this is edifying. This makes my day feel all the much better. Arpignon, good morning to you. Doreen, good morning. Leslie, good morning. Cece, morning all. Live and up yourself, good morning. Awooga, morning all. Sky Blue, done. Cece, I do like this. Great wee tune. The violation being telling the yes, you have violated a transgression of truth. This is the world that we live in. Our freedoms are a mere myth, a figment of our perception. Right, hold on. Curtis and what have we got here? Can you send are you able to put links in that? Does that work as a link? Alright, okay. Maybe is it? Oh, I don't know. Okay, I'm learning new things as we go. We're back here anyway, which is a good thing, right? We're back. In my opinion, should cover the legal treatment. Van Edinburgh, morning G, Jockey T, morning Bob, morning all. Right, Chiefs, right people, we're back in. We're back once again. Anyway, so there was a couple of things I wanted to check. Where was this thing that I just saw? Uno momento. There's a risk involved with clicking this button, but it should be alright if I click it here. It's alright there. So you just need to bear with me a second, people. I have an email here from YouTube. Okay, it might have been a copyright strike. It might have been an overzealous copyright strike. We don't know. Right, how are we all? You've given me the how are we all. Okay, I got that. So Wolf Blitzer was confronted at the DNC the other day, and I hadn't seen that, so we'll just have a quick look at that just now. Because Wolf Blitzer has obviously been infiltrated by AIPAC, as they all have. But this seems to be, okay, this is like Rumble or something.
Hero Wars, Hero Wars.
This is funny.
Every day I am playing.
Hi, Wolf.
Okay.
Max Blumenthal from the Gray Zone. Why do you think Biden has shown so few red lines with in Gaza?
I don't have time to talk to you.
But you're a former researcher for AIPAC. Do you think Israel has too much influence in the media? I mean, would CNN allow someone who is a Palestinian lobbyist to work for it? Have you ever acknowledged on air while supporting the Gaza genocide that you worked for the Israel lobby?
We love you so much. You're amazing.
I'm Wolf Blitzer. I used to work for AIPAC, and now I support Israel's genocide in Gaza. I'm Wolf Blitzer. Is that unusual to you guys?
Thank you so much.
Do you guys think
I am so sorry.
Israel has too much influence in the media?
By the way,
For shame, Max.
For shame.
How dare you speak facts
you know.
to a crowd like
Say
this?
hi and give science.
Right, okay. So, you know, we're heading into a US election, and that must be Rumble, right? That must be why it's such a weird setup there. But it's just quite weird, isn't it? This strange ability for people to just exist in this state of denial, or just willful ignorance. Really, I don't really know how to describe it. If anyone's got any suggestions about what the psychology is behind that, where people are just prepared to make excuses for genocide, especially those that are affiliated, you know, with the Democrat Party, which, you know, traditionally perceives itself as on the side of the people or otherwise. So that, I thought that was reasonably interesting. And talking of Wolf Blitzer, I remember years ago, on a theme, once again I delve into my own archive here, and I will find, where was it? Years ago, it was when I made that Jeremy Corbyn film, and was it here? It looks like it's this one here. I was pretty pleased with this little edit. This was like a promo that we made for the film, but it was a. I think this is the one. Let me just check it. Just in case. Yeah, this was the one where I had it on Wolf Blitzer. Let me just check and see if it's it. And I created this little setup for it. I thought it was pretty good. I'll just play it because it's short, and it takes me down a wee nostalgia trip for a minute. Momentigo.
This is CNN Breaking News.
We're continuing to follow the breaking news. The former British Prime Minister Tony Blair.
Former British Prime Minister Tony Blair.
Former British Prime Minister Tony Blair.
Former British Prime Minister Tony Blair
Finally has been caught after being on the run for more than 10 years. He's an accused war criminal. Let's discuss with Richard Holbrooke, the former U.S. ambassador.
Eggs and shoes were also thrown at the former Prime Minister.
And our main story here on BBC World News, and the world's most wanted man has been tracked down.
Tony Blair, George W. Bush's most visible foreign partner on the war, and he has suffered the consequences for it.
But this guy, in my view, was worse than Milosevic or General Mladic. He was the intellectual leader.
So what do you want? What do you want to happen to him right now? He's going to go. He's going to go on trial.
Well, it is a big issue. You said he was an alleged war criminal.
He hasn't been convicted yet.
He hasn't been convicted, but he's an accused war criminal, and he is indicted in The Hague. Do you turn him over to The Hague, as they did with Milosevic?
What do you want?
I'd like him to go to The Hague.
For a long, that could take years, that trial, as we saw.
Once he goes to The Hague, he's not getting out again. That would be the end of that. Honestly, to create stability. This isn't some historic event. This is, ancient event. This is an ongoing event of historic importance.
All right. Well, thanks for your perspective. I know you're a very happy man today.
Well, you cover.
Aye, there you go, eh? A wee bit mischief. A wee bit mischievousness. Back when the world was mental. But not half as mental as it is now. Anyway, let me go back to me ex. Going to get a Wolf Blitzer to go. See, there's a time I thought I was a funny cunt in that, and I don't even come close, really. It's like, these folk have got it locked. Beldam's come into the room. He says, I'm going to get a Wolf Blitzer to go with my Ninja air fryer. Right. I'm quite into this Techno-Tasmo tune in the background here. I don't know what's going on with that. Sociopaths, money. They are being paid. Yeah. It's really dark, isn't it? I did my bit. I went down to the count. I went down to the election count, you know, on the 4th at Ingolston. You might have seen the video when I heckled Ian Murray. And the National, because the National don't like me, but obviously I'm not exactly fond of them either. There was another heckler, and she was great, but I was heckling too. I was getting them it tight too. They never mentioned that, did they? They were like, a heckler, one person. What about me? They just erased me. They erased me from the event, and I mean, I got confronted by some jaked up, whiskey sozzled fucking Labourite pissed. I'll find the footage for you. Right, we've got 6 notifications. Neil Cooper, Pat. Oh, so I'm glad that disappeared actually, because I was momentarily sent into extreme boredom. What's this? See, I'm getting assailed by what is this exactly? What you open Twitter, like somebody's like, what's going on here? Who's this guy? I've seen this guy before, but it's like, why is he responding to this? I was taking the piss out Super Tansky. Okay, Brown had options before Cameron even ended up in number 10. He could have brought back regulation. Cameron came in with state. Well, this, of course, is not just blocked, but England has every power. Devolution in '99 was merely the dotting of the I's and crossing the T's that this UK is a political and fiscal English empire. In other words, England has its... Look, I mean, maybe this guy's got like points, like sort of analytical points about the nature of devolution or whatever, but that doesn't excuse the calibre of political class that are opportunistically, parasitically feasting off, like, whether it's the hopes and dreams and aspirations of Scottish people wanting independence or whatever else. You know, there's still an element of, like, you know, our political class that we elect, or well, rather, if we stop electing the political class, the calibre of politicians or the type of people that we elect into government can make a significant difference in terms of the type of society that we experience. You know, it's you know, that people. I'm not going to overly romanticise the Scottish Socialist Party, because when I made a sort of, like, you know, loose statement about that a couple of months ago, I was assailed by I got attacked from all quarters from people that went mad at me. But basically, the SSP did do some interesting things whilst they were in power. Well, not in power, but whilst they were in Parliament. And those things have been claimed historically now by the SNP. For example, free prescriptions. Well, you'll need to remind me of the other ones, but there was a whole bunch of things that the SSP essentially advanced and brought forward, and the SNP ratified them, and they claimed them as their policies, but they weren't really their policies. So that's an example of having some type of variant type of thinking within your parliament, as opposed to just a cohort of party political opportunists. Excuse me. Is everyone still there? Are people still with us? I mean, I'm beginning to suspect maybe the stream was down as a result of the video, but anyway, folks saw it, right? And you can go and watch it yourselves. It's a cracking video, that. What else have we got going on here then? This C. Roberts guy, okay, it's gave me some big detailed analysis of what's going on. In response to me slagging off that deeply annoying person, Super Tansky, that kind of Labour sycophant. Anyway, what's going on with my... Right, okay, we've got a bunch of SNP acolytes responding. Not Noisy Parker, but somebody else was in there. Tit! Fair play. I'm into the simple sort of like, just be straight to the point, like. He doesn't agree with me, so he's called me a tit. It's a reasonable, you know, it's like arse, wank, twat, you know, just tit. Duncan Lundy, he's got a Scottish flag there. Prosperity to Scotland and no union. Devo Perative. What's his website like? Oh, he's not fucking got one, right? Perfect, right? You're exactly the guy that I want to hear from, like, you know. He's going on about GB News. This is what we do when somebody's whitey, isn't it? You have a look at them and you scan down. You say, well, what kind of a person are you? Right? Well, he's retweeting somebody for the SNP, so he's obviously an SNP acolyte. He's not got the memo that they're just a bunch of crooks. Blah blah. The National, fucking like Blades of the Sun, whoever that is, some centrist weirdo. Right. England full of right-wing riots. He's probably English. You get a lot of these people that are in denial. You know, you get these sort of converts that try too hard. You know, I reckon Duncan Lundy's English. He's trying too hard to be Scottish. He's not realised that we've all got wise to the fact that these folk are at it. Seen this, Bob? What? What have I seen? Who's this?
The Scottish Government knew that KPMG were acting dishonestly when they were awarded a contract key.
Why has he stopped speaking?
They were awarded a contract key.
Start again.
This week, Commonweal revealed that the Scottish Government knew that KPMG were acting dishonestly when they were awarded a contract key to the design of the National Care Service. They did this just weeks before KPMG stopped bidding for UK government contracts after the threat of them. Getting this information was not easy. It took us 2 years of Freedom of Information requests and navigating through Scottish Government rejections until an appeal to the Information Commissioner deemed that the public had the right to know this. Now, this is obviously a travesty of government transparency, and we'll be continuing our campaign to improve freedom of information legislation. But there's a deeper question here too. Why does the Scottish Government keep contracting out policy design to private companies?
Because they're neoliberals.
They keep coming back with the same answer. Centralise it, then privatise it.
Because they're neoliberals.
Because that benefits their other clients, the big businesses.
Because they're neoliberals.
The privatisation of formal services. Commonweal has a plan that has a better way of doing this. It involves the Scottish Civil Service setting up its own internal but independently run consultation department that would do the jobs currently outsourced to the likes of KPMG. This would take the private interest out of policy design and ensure that public policy and public services are run not to make a profit for big businesses, but to benefit all of us.
Right, that's called socialism. Right, well, see the thing about these people, right? Well, I mean, the boys make a good point in that. I respect what he's saying. But it's that weird thing where it's that same section of the culture where it's the sort of liberal middle classes in Scotland or whatever, or those that are more left-leaning, still trying to appeal to a sort of party structure and a government structure that is just populated with neoliberals, right? It's like, it's not going to wash. They're not interested in any of this stuff. We're past the point. I don't understand why. What is it? Where do they think that these changes will come? Occam's razor, because they're neoliberals, yeah. But it's like, they're noble people. Like, there's a nobility in what they're saying. You're like, you know, we should be aspiring for better. But it's like, this is this weird thing. It's like, can't we see? Can people not realise that it's done? It's bankrupt. Our democracies are totally and utterly undermined in their current form. And we need a synthwave soundtrack to continue this theme. But I don't understand, you know, it's like, that's why we need to build a different type of pressure on our democratic process. But that comes from communities, you know? Like, this is the thing that I'm always going on about. It's like, our current political class like the fact that less and less people vote. They're only really They're only really battling for a small number of swing voters now. So they're really only interested in a certain demographic. The fact that large swathes of the potential electorate just don't participate anymore, that suits our contemporary political class. And that's why we need to, for those of us who do believe that there's still some hope, however ridiculous that might be, that has to come from the places where the places where there currently is absolutely no desire or involvement in actually even involving themselves in the democratic process. We need to think of interesting ways to engage those people in those communities. And it starts sort of small and builds out, in my opinion, I don't want to get into making direct comparisons about Soviets and stuff, but I think there's a lot to learn from some of these structures that have historically emerged in different democracies. But that whole thing where, for example, let's take an example. This guy's going on about the fact that they basically just gave KPMG this contract, and KPMG are just like us, it's like PFI, that stuff as well. Oh, we're a man down. We're an iPhone down. It's like it's like what's it called again? Cumbernauld. It's like okay, it's like when Sturgeon and all that lot, they came up with this thing called the Growth Commission. Do you remember that? With Andrew Wilson. And Andrew Wilson is a partner in Charlotte Street Partners, which is the main lobbyists in Scotland. And he's also the guy that worked with Fred the Shred, the guy that fucking sank the Bank of Scotland, or the Royal Bank of Scotland, whichever one it was. And these people were to be the architects of our new, flourishing, independent Scotland. It's practically a satire. It's borderline satire, the level of piss take. But this is what happens when you've just got professional classes making decisions. You've just got people that live in big houses in Balerno and have got massive pensions and they live in another world compared to the rest of society. Yet these are the people that are apparently the professionals that know how to structure our country, and think they know how to put money in their pockets and the pockets of their friends, right? That's what it is. That's what neoliberalism is, baby. So it's like there needs to be a sort of a recognition. See, I think we've got an opportunity. I genuinely think we've got an opportunity. What we have, okay, even with the media class, even with the middle class media class in Scotland, however much they profess to claim to be interested in independence and all this kind of stuff, you'll notice that they never extend their vision past the fact that they've got Scottish Labour and the SNP, and people talk about Alba and stuff like that, but there's no desire whatsoever to imagine that there could be any other type of interruption or what's the term that I'm looking for? Not disruption necessarily. Well, yeah, I guess, but that there could be any alteration to the extant system that's in place between these political parties. And I think that the Scottish electorate, I saw a wee clip of something yesterday where it was like some Yes activist guy in Aberdeen, who it was like, maybe it was on TikTok or something, but it was like some guy saying he had his wee bib thing on, with the Yes Scotland, and it was quite tragic. It's the sort of thing that you would have seen a lot of in the lead up to the referendum, a decade ago. remember that the SNP destroyed Yes Scotland the morning after the independence referendum. They destroyed their whole database and all that network, you know, because that was a threat. That was genuinely, I mean, that was the moment. That was the moment that people really, you know, when we look at what went on, it's like their decision to just obliterate Yes Scotland was a power move on their part. And that was when you realised that we'd had our arses felt. But a lot of us, that I never realised it really until, you know, maybe a couple of years later. Had on a minute when I learned of this information and it became really clear. I always had suspicions about certain things, but then you started to see what's going on. So people need to be a lot more cynical about the type of people that are currently taking positions of power, and it's pretty obvious, you know. But the notion, the idea that so you had this old guy going, oh, we want an independent Scotland, and we try and inform people in the public about why Scotland needs independence and all this kind of stuff. It's like, I no bother, but there's zero politics there. That's just like a notional idea of something, like, oh, aye, you know, and that's like, you know, that just gets washed aside. If you have a sort of a far more cohesive force representing community interests, building out the way democratically, perhaps beginning at local government, but depending on what's going on, you know, because the numbers are quite low. So the numbers of people that are actually actively involved, like they're going out and voting, we can see they're dropping. And there's increasing apathy and disillusionment with party politics, which is correct. You know, you can sense that is genuinely filtering through to all sections of the culture. And some people might look at that and think, well, that's like, you know, reason for despair. And other people might look at that and go, this is like reason. This is an opportunity. this is an opportunity to sort of plant a flag and go, right, it's there for the taking. These Muppets have made such an arse of it that, you know, if you seed certain ideas into certain sections of the culture and get people engaged, you can say, actually, you know, with not a lot of effort, you can start to do things here that have an impact, you know? Anyway, it's just a fleeting thought. 10:30 Wednesday morning. We've had a first, though. This is a first, getting the stream pulled, a temporary interruption to the stream. Morning all, sorry I'm late. I'll run around the football pitches for a few times. Right, Matty, yeah. Detention. Detention for you. Drop and give us 20, Matty. You're forgiven. We're meandering a bit right now, aren't we? I'm going to drop a link into it. I see that we can drop links. Total opportunity. These next 2 years with those Labour assholes could be fruitful for us. Absolutely. We have elections at Holyrood in 2026. And anybody who supports independence, who's been disillusioned and, you know, had their, you know, feeling crestfallen as a result of what's happened, or dismayed by the corruption that's been evident and the lack of effort or vision, or really the insult that's been served upon those people. A lot of people, look, for those that support Scottish independence, 2026 should be viewed upon as the People's Parliament. They should be looking at that as the moment where Scotland rejected not only Westminster, rejected not only the Union, but rejected the corruption of neoliberal party politics and populated their parliament with people, Scottish people, who believe in something different from these corrupt neoliberal public purse parasites. Remember, the people in the parliament, they form the government. The country's not going to fall apart. The civil servants in that run, you know what I mean? There's still a government that exists, you know? What we need is fresh people in there, thinkers, people that have got a sense of comprehension of what it's like to have to go and buy a pint of milk and a loaf of bread and have to, you know, figure out how much money they've got in their pocket every week or what they can and can't do as a result of their fucking horrible economic circumstances. Not these people that spend 15 grand on an iPad because they've been watching football. I'm watching the game, fucking right you are, pal. You know what I mean? These utter cretins, like, you know? The political class are a certain type of individual, by and large, demonstrably so. And I said that, you know, when I've run for Parliament, and it's like, people are like, what's this guy about? He's an artist, he's got a Raj name, boom, boom, boom. It's like, well, they need to be, you know, it's like what? He's like, he's not like, they're going to call it, he's not like a politician. It's like, isn't that the fucking point? You know? You know, they need to be more like us. We don't need to be more like them. Managerialists, that's what they are. That's a good idea, Bob. I'm pro-indie. I think anybody, really, on a on a fundamental level, is like, you know, wanting to disrupt this, you know, distance yourself from Westminster. You know, even if you were in the north of England, you'd want to distance yourself from Westminster. But you can see how people like Pete Wishart, these people are frauds. These people are careerists, and they're frauds. Ian Blackford, fraud. Joanna Cherry, fraud. Pete Wishart, just go through the list of them. List them all. They're all frauds, and or just muppets. As soon as you get yourself, look, I've said it before. I said it to David Jameson when I did that interview that time. It was like, you know, you're not when you're you know, you can't just be a candidate in a political party. You have to go through vetting. The political party have to say, right, we've decided that you are the person that we want to have in this area, running in this area for us. And that vetting procedure is going to weed out anybody who's dynamic with vision. I'm like, fuck that. We didn't want that fucking. We didn't want anyone like that involved in the party. We want some obedient twat that we can tell what to do. By and large, the vast majority of them, that's what they are. Little placeholders. Dib, dib, dib. Yes, sir, no, sir, 3 bags full, sir. That's what they want. That's who they'll throw their weight and money behind. They didn't want somebody that's like, right, I'm going to fucking get involved here and like tear it to pieces and come up with something new and interesting. That's not what they want. Am I going to run in 2026? I don't know. Maybe you should run. Maybe you should run the Urban Hermit. Maybe we should have the Urban Hermit in Holyrood. I would vote for you. You're already cool enough. You're part of my live stream. Was about to say that. Even for the what's that? Say that. Why? Even for the. Even for the people in England, sack the parties. Can you imagine the shockwave if we just voted all the parties out? Exactly. This is what we need to do. We need to undermine. Listen to the shite that they've spraffed to us. I'm just going to say it again. If anybody, like I was the first guy to be going like, by the way, they're at it. They're totally at it. And loads of people, I got loads of kickback for that. People are like, oh, that Wings Over Scotland and that. He was still a company boy, but I was calling him out long before he was. I'd rather have a bunch of completely random people than party politicians, of course, but then that in itself is far more representative of it's far more democratic. You want a bunch of whipped, as Beldam calls them, managerialists. Whipped managerialists. Sounds like something you get at Starbucks. Right. Look at that. I quite like that. I was looking at the time there, and I was like, how's it half? It's like it feels like it's been 10:30 for ages. Like, we're definitely moving at a slow pace today, but actually, it's just I hadn't touched my screen, hadn't scrolled my Black Mirror. Right. I'm glad that this guy's on my feed. This Christopher Swan guy. It does make things a bit. What's going on here? I don't really know what's going on here. This is the sort of Iona Fife land of online warfare. I can't be bothered getting involved in any of that. I think she gets it tight off Rajas, but she's not entirely guilt free of like provoking reactions from people as well. Peter Arnott, it's going to be deeply ironic if the cultural legacy of a period of nationalist government is that the national culture gets fucked. Are you having a laugh, mate? The cultural legacy of the nationalist government is the most horrendous period of Scottish culture in the history of this nation. The dominant funded culture from the period, from the independence period forward, is a continual car crash. It's an embarrassment. It's horrific. All of these, what is going on more? Is this today's thing? No, that's the other day. They're all still bleating about it, like, you know. The arts. This Gary's economics guy, I think he's good. You know what I mean? He's good at shining a light on the horrors of the finance industry and all the rest of it, and you know the problems. But I need to watch more of his stuff, to be honest. It's difficult to watch everything, isn't it? There's so much stuff to take into account. It looks like a printer. It does. It does. It does look like a printer. Watch as the debt grows again versus GDP, yes. Barney Farmer. Keir Starmer said, those with the broadest shoulders should bear the heavier burden. So why have pensioners with income of £11,337 cut off point for pension credit and children being hit? Speech said nothing about curbing corporate profiteering, which fuels executive pay and poverty. Farmer says, austerity being, of course, a pincer movement, reduced public spending on the one prong, and the remorseless and relentless gouging of households by private sector entities and individuals on the other, yeah. We really have got a shit show of a country, haven't we? Hundreds more bike shelters to be installed across Glasgow. Ha ha ha, the poorest are paying to protect the bikes of wankers. Do you know what? He's right. Even if it is Ewan McComb. He's right. This is an interesting statement from the boy in Bath, right? Any plan for independence, which is predicated on pushing support up into the high 60s, is certain to fail. The demographics of the Scottish electorate simply do not permit it. The demographics of the existing Scottish electorate, that's the key factor. That's the bit that's missing. None of these people have got any interest in actually engaging with the people who have long since disengaged with any of this. And until we actually recognise culturally that that's where we need to be thinking, then, you know, what do we expect? We've got more comments being retracted. I feel like we're under surveillance today. The bike shelters are ridiculous, as are the bins. They are now moving into the streets in front of the tenements now. Rats in the streets now. Glasgow's rat city, isn't it? There's rats. There's a raft of rats in Glasgow, isn't there? Too many rats in the Ouija land, like, you know? Right, I'm taking a short break. I'll be back in a minute. Didn't go anywhere, or go wherever you want. I'm not going to tell you what to do. I'm no your dad.
In my opinion, we are higher dimensional beings. You have a higher dimensional family, if that's what you want to call it. I mean, this reality, this life, is a gift, and you have been gave this gift before.
Tick-a-tock, my golden hen, my golden hen. Tick-a-tick-a-tock, my golden hen. Tick-a-tick-a-tock, my golden hen.
Restaurant in Edinburgh. Technically not in Edinburgh, Canuka Inn. James Ferguson is one of the best chefs in the UK. It's a shorter distance than... You know what I mean? And if you were driving from Shoreditch to Hammersmith. It's absolutely...
asked to take somebody to play golf at Loch Lomond, which is, people quite prize that. I didn't know the guy was, but I knew the chap was asking me, and he earned a favour, so I ended up with this chap phoning me and saying I'd like to come, and I said, oh, that's...
Right, I'm back again. I just caught a glimpse of what was on the story there. It's a bit mental. Sometimes things get pulled out of context. You're like, what's going on with that? This was at the Count, you know. It might be a bit loud.
What are you going to say about that? What are you going to say about the genocide in Palestine? What are you going to say about that yet? Why do I stand for election?
What a conk, eh? Look at him. I turned round and he was right. He was right. If I had my phone like that, he's like, I'm like, what? Who's this fucking old Radgley? You know? He's stinking. I'll tell you a little quick story, right, about that raconteur time. So, one of the girls, look at him, like, can we identify who this guy is? Does anybody ken who he is? Take what's going on, what's happened here? I don't know who he is, but when Ian Murray, just before he went on the stage, Belgium, you're killing me with it, man. You need to publish. Remember, I've got all Dean Pearson's tweets from like 2016 or something. I was going to publish a book of them. I think we should publish Beldham's. He goes feared in every door cam in Baberton. I'm not offering him a bump. Totally. Here's a wee thing, right? Just before Ian Murray went on the stage to take the crown from Joanna Cherry. Sorry, it wasn't Cherry, was it? Who was it that he ousted? Can't mind who he ousted. No, he stayed. Ian Murray got to stay, but he became the Scottish Secretary, wasn't it? So it was the night before that he was made Secretary of State for Scotland, I think. And here's a funny little story about Ian Murray that night. So when you're in that hall, I've got some footage of it all because I was down there. First of all, the fact that I was there had driven everybody mental because I wasn't supposed to be there. But somebody had managed to do a little bit of doctoring of the whatever it is, and they'd managed to get me in because they wouldn't want me in there. So all the political twats and journalist people were like that. What the fuck is he doing here? And it was like 2 o'clock in the morning and stuff, and I could totally. Everywhere I went, they were all just. I'll play it tomorrow, right? When it's like some guys going like, "Don't who are you filming?" And some people have complained about you film. It's like there's people filming stuff everywhere. Anyway, it was quite a strange feeling. Like the whole place was like, "What the fuck?" So, but Ian Murray, when Ian Murray arrived at the count, and it was so lame, you know, all the Labour little apparatchiks and everything, like, they kept all doing these big cheers, like, ooh, yeah, they were all dead excited, because they were just like, they were so excited that they'd won, you know, they thought, you'd think they'd won the lottery, you know, well, they kind of have, haven't they? Job security and expenses, lines of ching and rent boys aplenty. So basically, so Murray came in to this, and the whole Labour pack came round them, you know, like some big crowd, like they're cheering him, like some sort of like boxer that had won a fight or something, you know. Yeah. And he had two sort of bodyguards with him, right? He had these two sort of heavy type people or whatever, and one of the lassies that had been running, she's also his constituent. And she spoke to him first, and she said, like, whatever, and the bodyguard person said, well, the person, she didn't know it was his bodyguard, but the person said to him, like, you need to move out the way, move out the way, and she went, what are you talking about? It's a public, you can't tell me to move out the way, it's a public place or something like that. And she said, why have you got a bodyguard to Ian Murray? And Ian Murray went, the Home Office allocated them. Like, you know, it was like he was all excited, like, because he was suddenly important, like, you know. And this is obviously the way that they just, you know, the simple acts, the soft power, like, oh, Ian, we're allocating you a bodyguard, you know what I mean? It's that inflated sense of self-importance now, you know? And he was all... And then she said to him, again, the person, she's tried to say that, she tried to speak to him again, and the other one was like, you can't speak to him or something. She said, I'm one of his constituents, and this was seconds before Murray went up on the stage, and he turned around and he went, I don't give a fuck who you are. So that was what the Home Secretary, the new Home Secretary for Scotland, said moments before he got up there and gave his big speech, like before I started calling him a Zionist. But that's true, and that just shows you. But Ian Murray has always been a jambo fud, and no matter how for however long Ian Murray lives and exists on this planet, he will only ever be a jambo fud, as far as I'm concerned. Anyway, I'm full of the anecdotes, eh? I'm full of them. Let's go back to X and see what's there. We've got some funk going on here. What's this? Aspiration front and centre. Stephen Flynn is a terrible individual, isn't he? He's just a horrendous little climber. Let me go to the... I really cannot be bothered with him at all, like, you know. I just cannot be bothered with him. So yeah, okay, so he says the right thing on Gaza and that, right, fair play, but whatever. Jeremy Gilbert. No Gallagher. We covered no Gallagher's shit politics yesterday, didn't we? They are vermin. They're totally vermin. Remember, this is who our government, and this is who the Scottish government gave hospitality to, a bunch of genocidal maniacs. That reminds me, that's what I wanted to stick in the link. I'm going to stick a link in the YouTube chat here. If you just bear with me a wee second, I'm going to find it. So it's a talk that... Okay, I got it here, and it's called Justifying Slaughter, How the Cult of Messianic Zionism Conquered the West. A talk by Thomas Suarez. Is it Ronnie Brunton? Hats off to Ronnie Brunton that put me onto this. It's worth watching. So there's that link there. It's an hour long, and it's an interesting piece just about the sort of... It's very interesting in how he talks about how the state of Israel came to market itself, the structures in place that have allowed Israel to operate in the way that it's been able to operate. I think we need to start covering more about Gaza and the conflict, and I think that as we see what happens with What the X over the coming period, we'll look to make specific discussions on specific topics rather than being so sporadic and peppered with amusements. It sounds like I'm saying that I'm going to continue this. I never said that. Or did I? Did I or didn't I? Anyway, let me just... I'm going to select... I need to try and find... will it be here? What is the... Bear with me a second, my people. Don't take that. So, oh, that's what I'm looking for. This is the track. think it's this one here. Is this the right one?
Summer in Paris.
I don't like these. Okay, the sun is shining. It's Wednesday. I actually thought it was Thursday for a minute there, which means we've got 2 days. We've got 2 days to go till the end of the week. We've lost some viewers. Where have you gone? Nah, you're allowed to come and go as you please. There's no rules here. There's no rules. However, it has reached that time again where I'm about to disappear and leave you all once more until tomorrow. I've enjoyed spending this last hour or so with you all. It was an interesting start to the morning to be to find ourselves temporarily disrupted by the powers of AI and potentially copyright. It may well have been a copyright strike, but we'll investigate that further. Until tomorrow, thanks once again for joining me on What the X. I'm going to play out with the Gyro Babies from a track that they released earlier in the year. It's called Landfill Culture. This is the lyric video. I'm a big fan of the Gyro Babies, so I'm going to play this out, and I'll see you all tomorrow at 10 in the morning. Take care, people. Ciao.
The turn has deed, the shy has deed. Mad rage, mad weak. I'm raging. The turn has deed, the shy has deed. I've raged this week. I'm raging. More posts and punters. Where are the revelers? There's a bomb at Central Mountain. Repeating a mantra. He's murmuring something, but I struggle with mumbling. As I tumble closer, his words are engulfing me. The tune is deep. Why do we bother? The shy is deep. Why do we suffer? This is not my first rodeo. No, this is my second. I've been here before, and our surroundings have lessened. This place is getting worse. This the city of a curse. Drop my wallet and a bus, and I'm raging. I've done my time. I have earned my stripes, but I don't want to die in no countryside. I have microdosed. I have maxi-dosed. I awoke up in the compost comatose. Oh, he's so close, but just at the post. There's a smell of burnt toast, and he's feeling pretty. Post-punk Labrador pissing up a lamppost. Two nice deeds.